So there are the 4 tips that are going to help you grow your biceps and triceps. Hey guys, Gary Walker here and welcome back for another video. All right, this video all about your arms. So not just your biceps though, your biceps and your triceps. So I'm going to give you 4 ways to speed up your arm growth. Now, when it comes to your arm growth, keep in mind, a lot of people think about the biceps, always doing the bicep curls. However, your triceps make up 2/3 of your overall arm size. So that's the back side of your arm. So I'm gonna give you some ways to make sure you are stretching the tape and stretching out the sleeves. With that said, the very first thing I do wanna mention before I get into the 4 tips, you need to make sure you're eating for muscle growth. So if you're always dieting, you're always in a calorie deficit, you're not gonna be fueling your body optimally to build muscle at all, much less the arms, because the arms can sometimes be stubborn. So you wanna make sure you're getting sufficient protein and sufficient calories. Those are the 2 main things. If you are eating either at maintenance or in a surplus, you're gonna be doing everything you need to do to fuel your workouts, but you also wanna make sure you're getting your protein. And I'm typically around the 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per goal weight. So if you're, let's say 170 pounds, you wanna be 180 pounds, you wanna get close to 180 grams of protein at the high end. If you're getting 150 grams to 180, that's gonna be sufficient to fuel your muscle gains. All right, with that said, let's get into the very first tip. First tip is gonna be overall frequency, meaning you don't wanna just work your arms 1 time per week if you're trying to grow your arms. You wanna work them more often. I typically recommend 2 or even 3 times per week. Here's the key to doing that successfully. If you're trying to grow your arms, I want you to prioritize your arm growth, meaning you're gonna work your arms, let's say 3 times a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but you also need to cut back on some of the other body parts. So just really prioritize a time, maybe 8 to 12 weeks, to where you're gonna put all of your energy on growing your arms and then cut back slightly on your chest and your back. If you do that, you're gonna be making sure you're doing everything to adequately increase your frequency, but also increase your recoverability. Now, before you say, hey, 3 times a week, that's far too much training, keep in mind, let's go with biceps. The men that have the absolute best biceps are male gymnasts. They work their biceps every day with their pull-ups, their rings, all the things that they're doing. It's the frequency training. Just like guys that have the best legs are sprinters. They're sprinting every single day. So when you add more frequency to a specific muscle group, your body has a larger stimulus. So as long as you're feeding that stimulus, then you're going to grow that muscle. That's basically the first thing. Second thing kind of piggybacks off of the frequency, and that's just increasing overall volume. Meaning, you want to increase the amount of sets that you're also doing. So if you're used to working biceps and triceps once a week, and you're doing 6 to 9 sets, well, you want to make sure you're adding a few more sets or a few more repetitions. That's the other thing you want to do. One of the best ways to do the frequency and the volume training the right way is following a good program. So that's not a tip, but that's just a recommendation for you. So make sure you're following a well-structured program designed to get you to your bigger arms. So that's gonna be key, because a program is gonna include the right amount of frequency, the right amount of volume. You're gonna scale back those other body parts, but you're also gonna have the adequate amount of rest, because rest and recovery is gonna be probably one of the more important keys to making sure that you are not overtraining your arms or overstimulating your muscle. For what I'm talking about with volume, to go back slightly, when I said 9 total sets, if you've been doing 6 to 9, you may want to get to where you're doing 12 to 15 sets, but over 3 workouts. So split that up over 3 workouts. That's gonna give you more frequency and more volume. Another key tip that you probably haven't thought about is you wanna be using some type of blood flow vasodilator. So a blood flow supplement, basically just a nitric oxide supplement. And we do have one. The anabolic pump that we have is designed to increase blood flow in your body. So when you increase blood flow into your working muscles, you're just gonna get more nutrients into those muscles. So it's gonna help with nutrient delivery and also recovery. So that's one of the other tips you wanna really focus on. Just adding a blood flow supplement is a vasodilator. So again, if you do that, that's gonna help increase that nutrient delivery to your biceps and your triceps, and also the recoverability that I mentioned. All right, the last tip I'm gonna share with you. This one is pretty important, but it's a two-part tip. It's focus on your contractions. Now, the contractions I really want you to focus on. Every time you are bringing the dumbbells up for a bicep curl, for instance, you are doing a concentric contraction. So your muscle is longest in the stretch position. As you bring the weight up, it shortens that. A shortened contraction is a concentric contraction. So I want you to focus on holding each concentric contraction for 2 seconds. Now, this is how you do a bicep. You're curling, you're squeezing, flex it hard for 2 seconds. Now for a tricep, it's the opposite movement. So when your bicep is shortened, your tricep is lengthened, it's stretched. So in a push down, a tricep push down, if you're coming down, then you are shortening the tricep. So the same thing if you're doing a tricep push down, once you get into that shortened position, hold it, 1001, 1002, then bring it up slightly. So that's the 2 second concentric contraction for each and every repetition. If you're doing 12 to 15 repetitions, that's what I want you to do for each one of those. Now, the second contraction you really need to focus on, and it's the one that's the most neglected. So what I see is a lot of people will bring the curls up and they'll just drop down quickly. So the last thing you wanna do is cause yourself to not get that eccentric contraction benefit. So by controlling the weight on the way down, and I like 3 seconds for that. So for instance, if you got dumbbell curls and you're up here, 1001, 1002, 1003, that's how long it should take you for each repetition to lower the weight. That's lowering the weight under control. Now to reverse that into the tricep, same thing. Once you're in this stretch position, you're going to contract all the way down. I want you to focus on that contraction, 1001, 1002, and then take 3 seconds to bring it back up. 1001, 1002, 1003, under control. So control the eccentric contractions for 3 seconds and make sure you're squeezing the concentric contractions for 2 seconds. If you do that for each repetition, it's also gonna help with that mind-muscle connection, and you're gonna be focusing a lot more on your arm growth by doing that. So there are the 4 tips that are gonna help you grow your biceps and triceps. If you have any questions at all, make sure you leave it in the comment section. Again, make sure you focus on following a good program designed to get you the best results possible. And just one more reminder, if you really want your arms to grow, you need that protein and you need to make sure you're eating enough calories. Now, again, you don't always have to be in a calorie surplus to grow, assuming you aren't extremely lean. Now, most men over 40 are not gonna be in the 10%, maybe even 12% body fat range. Typically 20% is what I see, 20, 25%. Now, if you have that kind of body fat on you and you're eating at maintenance, but as long as you're getting your protein in, then you still have enough adequate calories to grow. So your body can use a lot of that stored energy that you have to really facilitate new muscle growth. All right, with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. And as always, get busy, get after it, and God bless.